Have you ever shot a video about 15 times and it still doesn't turn out right? This is that video for me, but I think I got it. So let's get rolling. So if you're watching this, you probably are interested in becoming a PGA professional. Let me start off by saying, first off, if you want to be a golf teacher, you do not have to be a PGA professional. If you want to be a coach, you do not have to be a PGA professional. There are plenty of other services out there that'll give you, the little initials to put after your name and make you certified in something or other. But honestly, the PGA isn't just about teaching the game or growing the game. It encompasses so many different services and helpful educational opportunities for the very beginning coach all the way to the most experienced one. Now with their master level programs and the additional certifications they offer, it is a never-ending educational faucet for people to just absorb whatever they want out of it. That's why I am so interested in becoming a PGA professional, is because of all of the additional pieces that gives me going into the future. Coming into the game later in life, as far as coaching goes, I've been teaching people to play golf for years. It wasn't a big deal. It was real simple. It was, it wasn't a hard thing to teach. But understanding ball flight concepts and physics and that type of thing isn't golf itself. Understanding the game is far more than that. And that's where the PGA program really starts to take effect for everybody. So when you start looking at that, you really want to understand why you want to get into it rather than you have to get into it. Once you've made the decision that, you do want to have those educational resources available to you, and you really do want to make a career path out of teaching the game, growing the game, operations, tournaments, whatever niche you want to kind of get into, that's where the PGA can really start to help you develop those skills. So let's roll around to how to get started with your career as a PGA professional. The first step, obviously, is getting your game in shape. A lot of people will say get into the industry first and then work on the game. I'm going to contradict that just a slight amount for one particular reason. You can get into the industry and have a mid to low paying job, selling clubs or doing groundskeeper work or whatever there is, in the short term. But if you get into a career where you do something similar to what I did in the last 2 years, where you're working so many hours a week, full-time at the course, full-time at a day job to pay the bills, it is almost impossible to get your game in good enough shape to pass the playing ability test. So the number one thing I recommend for people getting started is definitely practicing and passing your PAT test. Once you have that done, the qualifying exam, this is everything on the qualifying exam that I took. Absolutely zero problem passing the qualifying test. You have an open rules section where you get a rule book in the building and you can go through and take it. I know they're doing them online now, so it's a little bit different, but it's the same setup where you just have to show them the room you're in. No big deal. So the qualifying test was relatively easy, but practicing and passing that PAT has got to be job number one. Once you're through with that PAT and you've passed it or at least taken a qualifying score on it, most courses are about an 80 to 82 when you take the test. Once you're leveled into that, you can take your qualifying exam. Pass that qualifying exam, you go straight into level 1 classes. That's the level that I'm at currently right now. I took my online session back in August and just been rolling through the portfolio work for that very slowly and surely. Again, August was 18, 19-hour days for me, so didn't have a whole lot of time at that point to get through all the bookwork, but it's been going pretty well over the winter, so I'll keep working through that. But level 1 is the first section where you will learn things like course operations, tournament direction, golf cart fleet management, just the basics like that. And also you'll get an introduction to teaching and coaching. The teaching and coaching aspect of the game is not as simple as you would think. There was a lot of, the physics behind it, but also the mental understanding of how to present to different types of people. I guess people reading would be a good way to do it, determining what kind of learner they are. You'll often hear in educational things, people are either a book learner or they are a visual learner, or they're a written text or a picture instruction type person. Dealing with those different types of people will make you a more successful coach, and that's where that aspect kind of starts to focus in on. From there, you will continue through the program level 2 and level 3, teaching more in depth of the same things, getting away from the intro out to building that out to an actual skill set that you can learn. So let me flip around here really quick, and we'll take a look at some of the intro programs and maybe some tips for passing that PAT. All right, so we're talking PAT here, and honestly, until you've actually done one of these, you have no idea what you're in for until you do it. So let's start off with the fact of what is the PAT and how does it work. The PAT is the playing ability test, which is the first step in kind of finding your way into the PGA system. What they want to do is make sure that the people that are actually trying to become playing professionals and teaching professionals and industry members can actually play the game of golf. So it's really not set up to be a trick. It's not set up to be, difficult or anything like that. It's just a really rugged 36-hole test of your playing abilities. Typically, you have to shoot about 5 over the rating of the course. It's not an impossible number by any means. Depends on how hard the course is you're playing. But generally, the courses that I play typically rate around a 67 to 70, which means somewhere between 72 and 75 is usually the target score. But you have to do that twice. So I believe the course I played the last PAT I went out for was a 152 or a 155 total. So again, not a huge number, not a small, nothing too difficult to hit. But if you start allowing yourself to drift into, dare I say it, scary numbers, it can get ugly quickly. And for me, the first time through, parred the first and then had a really, really messy double bogey on the second. Other than that, my PAT actually went relatively smooth, except for a couple of blow-up holes. And those holes literally knock the wind out of you because you can't go anywhere from there. Once you've blown the number, there's no going back to it. So for me, one of the big ones was the 10th hole. I had a shank wedge that I just never recovered from. From there, it was downhill on the 14th. Just got messy. But again, when you're not playing for anything, it's really, really difficult to stay amped up and go full bore and say, yep, I'm going to shoot 17 under from here on out and still qualify. But the mental fortitude needed to get through that 36 holes is not simple. So let's take a look while we're on the subject. Let's take a look at a couple of little easy things you can do to really prep yourself for your PAT and kind of get dialed in so you don't have to worry as much. The first one is make sure you are taking snacks and water with you. Typically, these events are played during dry seasons where the course conditions are at their best. That often leads to hot temperatures. Staying hydrated is key. Don't drink a whole bunch and then go out and play and then drink like at the 9th hole and the 18th hole and think you're going to make it. Carry a water bottle. make sure you are hydrating every hole. Just quick drink on the tee box and away you go. Maybe make it part of your pre-hole routine. Not sure how to work that into your system, but staying hydrated is key. And right along with that one, make sure you have some snacks with you, things that you can quickly, just pop a handful of trail mix or whatever you're running. Energy bars, anything like that to keep you going. Stay away from things that'll spike and crash you. That just leads to a lot of shakes and a lot of craziness out there. It can even add to the nerves if you have too much sugar or caffeine. So again, find some good snack materials for you. Try them out before you play. See what the results are. If you spike or crash on them, keep them out of the bag for that day. I would also say avoid anything chocolate, because that can actually melt in your bag and make kind of a mess when you try to eat it. So solid foods, quick snacks often. So lots of hydration and snacks as often as you need them. That'll keep your energy level low, or, right where it needs to be, and keep you from spiking up and crashing down like that. So now that snacking and hydrating is out of the way, the next big thing that I cannot recommend enough is sharpen up the short game. Most of the courses that I have seen on these lists generally feature some target green areas where you're better off sometimes missing the green than you are hitting the wrong level of the green. It's not an impossible situation, but if you're really sharp on chipping and pitching, and lag putting, you won't have any problems whatsoever. If you miss that green just slightly and knock it to 3 feet every time, you're going to be tapping in for par all day. Have no trouble hitting that number. So spend a lot of time on your short game. From there, I would say probably my third tip, if I'm going to give you one, is get some practice rounds in at the course where you're playing. 36 holes is brutal. If you don't know where you're going, and do they allow carts? Do they not have carts? Do they push carts? Are always a good option in my opinion if you have to walk a course that you don't know, just because you take that load off your back for an extra few holes. So 36 holes in a day is brutal. Carrying a bag is going to make it even tougher. But, sometimes courses are easier for people if they walk them rather than carting. I'm one of those people that would much rather carry a bag than cart, but at the same time, after doing it once, I'm pretty good, I'll just say I'm pretty good taking a cart next time, at least for the first round. Another side note, if you want to call it such a thing, kind of going along with the practice rounds and things like that, bring super comfortable shoes. Stability is key, obviously, but if you do not have shoes that you are totally comfortable, no heel rub, no blisters on the bottom, anything like that will destroy your round in minutes. So make sure your shoes are comfortable and they're in good shape so they will survive a 36-hole trek around the course. So I think what I'll do here is wrap this one up. I'm already at about 12, 13 minutes here between the opening segment and this one. So what we'll take a look at next time is what's the next step after you pass your PAT. Or if you didn't pass your PAT and you still qualified, what's the next step? So that'll be taking a look at the qualifying, what do they call it? The qualifying level. In the next video. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully it'll start to kind of, get you along the path here, and we will see you in the next video. Don't forget, subscribe down below and click the little bell if you want to stay up to date on when this series is launching. I will get these videos done as quick as possible and get them posted pretty much as soon as they are finished. So thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.